Well, hi everyone. I'm John Ritland, back with the second part of my real honest rant on the rise and fall of Asuka in WWE. Much like the first part, which if you didn't see, future me will put it up there. The link is up there. I'm not just going to be totally slamming WWE, but unfortunately I gave you a lot of the highs in part one, and now it's time to talk about some of the bullshit. Because I left off talking about the loss to Charlotte at Mania 34, and here's why it was bullshit, just to continue right from there. Because Asuka had all this momentum and they just took it all away. And they still could have rebuilt it. It's kind of like how Goldberg's streak got broken. Here's the problem with it, though. Here's what they didn't do. They didn't immediately have her come out and confront Charlotte and this kind of stuff. Yes, they had the no. Oh, Charlotte was ready for Asuka and they hugged, all that stuff. Okay, cool. But Asuka still could have been mad, come out, kicked Charlotte right in the goddamn head on the SmackDown afterwards, and then Carmella could have cashed in. Now, you had the Iconics attack Charlotte, and that was great and everything, because there had been a little bit of a history with that since Charlotte had beaten up the Iconics, because Charlotte is the baby face, remember that. And then Carmella cashed in. I think it would have been almost better to just have Asuka do that, or you could have Asuka do that, and then Charlotte could have stumbled to her feet. Iconics could have come out and beat her up, picked up the pieces, the average white band comment, and then you could have had Carmella do the cash-in. But I digress. They kept Asuka off TV for a little bit. Now, maybe they were giving her a break. Maybe she needed a break. Maybe she wanted to go see her family. I don't know. But looking from a strictly TV point of view, it kind of muted Asuka because she wasn't this invincible killer anymore, and also she wasn't angry. She came out and confronted Carmella after Carmella had basically beaten Charlotte in a not very good match at Backlash 2018, because Carmella, the real doll, if all the batteries were taken out and she was run by solar power, bad solar power that is, they couldn't even do a goddamn decent sidekick or get a goddamn decent tan to save her life, and has a goddamn outfit that basically shoots so far up into her snatch, it's practically going up into her goddamn throat. I don't like Carmella, in case you can't tell. And if you're a fan of Carmella, please, by all means, gut me in the comments, because it's not like I'm allowed to have an opinion or anything, but Carmella should have never been a long-term SmackDown Women's Champion, because she was an embarrassment. I'm not saying that she's totally devoid of being featured at all on TV, but she really should just be a valet. Now, is she better than Enzo and Cass? She's less problematic, I'll say that much. Corey Graves, not so much, but he wasn't called up with them. That being said, Carmella was a rotten champion. And then they had Asuka face her. And then they brought Ellsworth back at Money in the Bank, which nobody wanted to see the chinless, pedo, the alleged pedo out there. Nobody wanted to see the dumb fuck. But we had to see the dumb fuck again. And it was fucking rotten, because Asuka, having to act shocked that somebody was cosplaying as her, and then act shocked, what the hell is he doing? And it took him forever to do the goddamn wink. Like, I don't know, like maybe his brain was in his chin, so it was non-existent, and the rest of, like, what was left of his motor functions had to say, shit, we need to do something. Make him blink. We can only make him blink at the speed of a smell that's traveling through space. It wasn't good. It really, really ruined Asuka. And then, what also ruined Asuka was Ellsworth in a cage, and Carmella beating Asuka because she ran her into the cage and then beat her. So, okay, now you've torpedoed Asuka at the expense of Carmella, who wasn't any good, still isn't really any good. Pretty much one of the most embarrassing champions that WWE has ever had, and how much ground does that cover? Now, she ain't as embarrassing as Sable, because at least Carmella tries to take bumps. She ain't very good at it, but she tries to take bumps. But that feud right there and Ellsworth's involvement was fucking horrible. Oh, they had a payoff where they had Ellsworth, fired and stuff like that. No, it wasn't a fucking payoff. They shouldn't have brought him back. And especially with the allegations and some of the shit that came out afterwards about it. Maybe you shouldn't have had Ellsworth come back. But then, she was left off of SummerSlam, and she was left off of Hell in a Cell, and she was left off of some of this stuff. She was left off of pay-per-view until Super Showdown, Super Showdown, the one in Australia. The good one, not the one in Saudi, where they like to cut off journalists' heads. Bonesaw is ready. Probably shouldn't throw stones with how this government is here, but anyway. Let's be honest. Her team with Naomi was actually kind of fun. It was kind of fun. They lost to the Iconics. They should have. It was in Australia. The Iconics winning was the right call. And they were hugely emotional, as they should be, being able to get that big of a reaction and that much love in their home country. That was the right call. Cooling down Asuka a little bit wasn't the issue. Is the fact they had her face Carmella and, do all that stuff. They had to do all the smoke and mirrors, not the Cody Rhodes theme song, to cover up the fact that, oh yeah, Carmella ain't very good. She's really not very good. She's like, she's like a lot. She's like a lot of women that they get, just strictly for their looks. And then they realize, oh shit, she really can't do anything. We need to come up with everything to hide the fact she's not very good. So, after that teaming with the Iconics, they had a Battle Royal at Evolution. That's the one where Nia Jax won because, you needed Nia Jax to be heated up to face off against the champion. Because what people were fucking clamoring for was Nia Jax to be in a championship, feud. That's exactly what people were clamoring for. And by clamoring for, I mean running for the goddamn exit and then carry trapping them in and, destroying everybody, setting them on fire, dumping the blood everywhere. And you know what? That actually would have been a lot better if they had done that. Nia Jax's carry. Make it happen, WWE Studios. But we go to Survivor Series, where in Evolution, by the way, should have been main evented by Becky and Charlotte and not main evented by Bella in 2018. Ronda, nothing against Ronda, in the ring. She's a freaking goddamn idiot when it comes to stuff outside the ring, or at least some stuff, but whatever. So we get the Survivor Series 2018 match, Raw and SmackDown, and Asuka could have been rehabbed by being the sole survivor or being one of the sole survivors. Nope, they had Nia beat her. Which that right there torpedoed Asuka, or so we thought. Right before Survivor Series, Becky had to, relinquish her spot, facing off against Nia, facing off against Ronda at Survivor Series 2018. And she had all the SmackDown women, and, it was obvious she was going to pick Charlotte to be her replacement. But when she got to Asuka, the crowd blew. And I mean, I'm not talking they blew like they were ready to throw up. They blew like they wanted to see it. They wanted to see Asuka versus Ronda. Which if Ronda ever comes back, she's done denying shit, like any shootings that happen, then maybe she can, maybe we can have Asuka versus Ronda. And then, Ronda can maybe phone it in. I don't know. That could actually be a pretty good match down the road. So, what happened though is after that, Vince McMahon decided, Becky versus Charlotte, throw Asuka in there. So they had a TLC match. Ronda got involved and pushed Becky and Charlotte off the ladder. And then Asuka managed to get the championship. Once I realized, I remember, and I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, I'm like, oh shit, she's actually going to do it. She won. So she ended, she won, she started the year winning the Royal Rumble and ended the year winning the championship. And everything was looking up. And actually, for a bit, it was looking up. She was a champion. She, the champion, my friend. She was fighting till the end. She beat Becky at the 2019 Rumble in the SmackDown Women's Championship match. Things were really looking up. They were doing some good stuff. They were doing some really good shit. And then they seemingly just stopped caring about Asuka as champion. She had this TV feud with Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville that went nowhere, and that's nothing against Mandy Rose or Sonya Deville, but they didn't put any investment in it. She beat Mandy Rose at Fastlane 2019, and the idea was, okay, hey, maybe we could get Sonya versus Asuka. That could be something good if they let them go out there at least for 10 minutes. But oh no, they couldn't fucking do that because they had to give the golden girl, the golden shovel girl, Charlotte, the one that has all the personality in her goddamn implants, the rub and have her beat Asuka 13 days before WrestleMania 35. Now, I'm not saying that Charlotte made the call to do that. I'm pretty certain that was a Vince call. He was like, shit, we could just have Charlotte in there, but let's have the SmackDown Women's Championship featured there on Charlotte because Vince likes blondes, because Vince, has such a fetish for blondes. There's nothing wrong with it if you have a fetish for blondes, but to this point, all it did was indicate once again that Vince McMahon doesn't care about Asuka. He liked the reaction, was surprised by the reaction before Survivor Series 2018, and then completely nuked it a couple months later. And also got Sonya Deville out of being, part of a match that could have actually meant something. And could have launched this whole idea of being a champion, or, being in a championship picture and being a single star. Maybe they'll do that now, who knows. But that right there was fucking ridiculous. And then the Women's Battle Royal at Mania 29, at Mania 35, Carmella won. Because of course she fucking did. Now, I know it was in the area where she grew up, but so what? WWE's had people lose in their hometowns a lot. And let's be perfectly honest, I don't know if anybody would be proud to, be from the same town as Carmella. I kid. I don't know why I'm dumping on Carmella so much. Maybe because it was fucking horrible and it was a botched experiment having her as champion. But then, and this isn't going to take very much longer, except for like one thing I forgot to cover in the Charlotte Flair problem video. But she was left off of Money in the Bank. She was left off of Stomping Grounds, which of course is where they kick ass and take names, and was in a Tacoma Dome that has a 23,000 seat capacity. And even if you cover some seats for obstructive views with the stage and all that and everything, you're still looking at 19,000. They had 6,000 people in the Tacoma Dome. They had 6,000 people there. WCW in April of 1999, when they were already pretty much failing, managed to fill a Tacoma Dome mostly. And, yes, that was 1999. That was not, 2019. Obviously, that's not how numbers work. But WWE, the marketing machine, all that, couldn't put together enough of a card to get more than a third of a crowd in there. Third of a crowd. And I don't even know if it would have been 19,000 seats that they would have had to have filled. It could have been 16,000. I don't know. Even when I saw Joan Jett, the Black Hearts and Hart, and El King at the Tacoma Dome, they had the little boxed upper sections above me and on the other side blocked off. But they still had probably in the neighborhood of about 13,000, 14,000 people. So they outdrew what WWE did. Granted, Joan Jett has more market, and that's another story for another day. Stomping Grounds sucked, basically. Like commercially. Like the pay-per-view actually, in all honesty, wasn't horrible, at least for a while. But they left her off of that. They left her off of Extreme Rules. They left her off of SummerSlam. They left her off of Clash of Champions. Now, she could have, again, needed a break. Maybe she had some nagging injuries she wanted to take care of. Maybe they were like, hey, we have nothing for you. Oh, and then she started a YouTube channel. It's been one of the best goddamn things on YouTube. If you are not watching Asuka's YouTube channel, watch the rest of this video and then go watch Asuka's YouTube channel. Binge it. You won't have to really try hard to binge some of these videos because she's so goddamn adorable and so goddamn likable and just is so goddamn comedic and hilarious. And she loves video games. That's a bonus. So, after being left off of so many pay-per-views, again, including Stomping Grounds, where they kick ass and take names, suddenly her and Kairi Sane are the Kabuki Warriors, and they, they're having this, and there's, a lot of racism there, especially from Lawler, but Lawler's never been racist. He's just a pedo, stupid motherfucker. So, they win the tag titles from Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. So, they won the tag titles from Nikki Cross, and she was carrying Alexa Bliss, the AKA the shortest Barbie doll, and, about somebody that's about as good on promos as, most women. She actually is excelling pretty well at that because she's a pretty good talker. The problem is then she's got to get in the ring and look like a clueless klutz in the goddamn ring. And she can hit the moonsault. She get hit, or she twisting moonsault. She could sure as fuck hit it better than Charlotte. Charlotte, who practically, you thought that Ric Flair falling off the goddamn, taking the fall off of the ropes was bad and overplayed. Charlotte laying on her goddamn feet doing the moonsault, yes, spectacular. She can flip like that. Stop fucking doing it if you're not gonna hit anything. God, you could have just fucking hell. Can't fucking stand that. Back to this, though. They win the tag titles. Cool. The Women's Tag Team Championships that by that point didn't mean anything because they were on Bayley and Sasha. And they were on the Iconics, which could have meant something. Then they didn't do anything with the Iconics. And then they lost to Alexa and Nikki. And then they had the Kabuki Warriors there. And if I forgot anything that the Kabuki Warriors had, if Asuka and Kairi were on the SummerSlam card, because I don't remember everything about the SummerSlam card, I apologize. But we had that. They were the champions. And then she lost as part of her and Sane lost as part of the Team Raw at Survivor Series, where Team NXT won because Rhea Ripley, had some help from her team and managed to get the victory. It was good, outsmarting, everybody else. And then we get to the one thing I didn't talk about, the TLC tag title match, Becky and Charlotte against Kabuki Warriors. And this is where Charlotte, and look, I don't think that Charlotte intentionally hurt Kyrie. I don't think she did. I do, however, think that she was pretty goddamn careless with her after it was obvious that Kyrie was rocked and beat up. And Charlotte just ragged on her and beating the shit out of her. And you could tell Kyrie was emotional. Asuka was checking on her. They had to delay some of this stuff. Yes, you get in the heat of the moment, adrenaline, all that stuff, and you got to keep the show entertaining, and the match wasn't all that good. Part of the reason is because that show was snake bit. That match was especially snake bit. But Charlotte decided to be a clueless twat and just toss Kyrie around and be a goddamn idiot with it. It was fucking infuriating watching this. Now, yes, wrestling is a contact sport, obviously. Yes, it's a line of entertainment and all that and everything. But she knows what she's getting into, Kyrie, and any woman, and any person that gets in there. But it was clearly obvious after she had suffered a concussion, they should have just had Asuka work it, take Kyrie out. Kyrie, bless her, they had to keep her down, like say, no. But Charlotte was pretty goddamn careless, and Becky, I think, was doing the best she could to take care of her, because Becky's a professional, and Charlotte's a professional, and probably didn't mean anything by it, but it sure as fuck wasn't a good look that Kyrie's getting her brain smashed in, and Asuka, you could tell, was upset. At least from what I remember from the match. You could tell she was upset, and I don't blame her. They had that match. It was fucking stupid. It really made Charlotte look unprofessional, whether it was intended or not. And then, so the tag team championships kind of go by the wayside, even though Asuka and Kyrie were having a whole lot of fun. They're still having fun, even though I think Kyrie could leave pretty soon. Becky versus Asuka, the rematch from the previous Rumble, and it was great. It was great stuff. Becky got her win back. Asuka had a great look. It wasn't as good as, the 2019 match, because that was just fucking magic. You're not going to recapture that, but this was a good companion piece, and they worked hard. And then the chamber match where Asuka was in there, and she wanted to face Shayna and everything, and you had this, and then Shayna beat her. And it was kind of flat, which is a shame. But then you had a tag team title match at Mania 36 in front of no people. Vince will still announce it at like 60,000 people, where they lost the tag titles to Nikki Cross carrying Alexa Bliss once again. And Asuka took the pin. So Asuka is winless at Mania. Asuka's now won at 34, 35, or 36. And I hate to say it, but I don't know how many more years Asuka's going to want to keep wrestling. And she's still in great shape and everything, and with her style, she could wrestle probably for another 5 to 10 years if she wanted. But she got outside ventures and all that stuff. But I gave you the highs and then ended with kind of a low at part 1. And now, what does Asuka have? Yes, her and Liv Morgan had a good match on the Raw after Mania. Liv carried the load and rose up to the occasion and lived up to expectations, if you will. Really had to dig deep for that one. And faced Asuka, and Asuka helped move her along, in any spot where anything might have gone wrong, and Liv didn't look out of place at all. It was a good women's match and a good showcase for Liv, and Asuka got the win. So I don't know what the fuck the future is going to be. Asuka might win the Money in the Bank, and maybe she captures the Raw Women's Championship and then faces Ronda Rousey and something like that, like at the Rumble next year. So yes, she could rise back up, but they had such an opportunity with a talent to make something matter, and they didn't. She still means a lot to some fans. I love her. I'm still going to cheer for her. And I love her YouTube channel. I love a lot about her. And I get that not everybody can go undefeated forever. No one can go undefeated forever. But the idea that they had such an opportunity to feature her as a single star, and her and Kyrie being in a tag team isn't the worst thing. Actually, it's been very entertaining. And Kyrie's laugh is both frightening and adorable at the same time. But at least if you featured Asuka as a single star, you could have done something, built her, and not just, done the stop-start bullshit where people weren't going to care about her. And that's the big issue. People aren't going to care as much about Asuka as they could, when they could have been, they might have gotten sick of her, like when it became the Asuka problem in NXT, but you need to give her a streak of, winning and holding a championship for 16 months, something like that. 16, 17 months, you didn't need to do that. You could have just given her, from Mania 34 to, say, SummerSlam. And then you could have given her a championship run at the end of the year. after Becky had saved, captured the championship and held it like she did. And then you could have had her carry it and maybe lose it to Sonya Deville or retain it after Mania 35 and just maybe lose it to Bayley, and that causes Asuka to snap and everything. You could have done it without involving Charlotte, is my whole goddamn point. You need to involve Charlotte and everything. So that's what I gotta say. Hope you guys enjoyed this 2-part series. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.